Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here with a hot take at the lamp. Um, One video about the Capitol riots, just to put a cap on it, I guess. More information and more videos have come out since the initial protest and riot. Um, so here's the way I see it. Shouldn't have gone into the building. It's number one. Um, some of the nonsense and shenanigans and damage seems to have been encouraged by some of the members of the DC police, but it's kind of hard to tell exactly what happened. There certainly needs to be some kind of investigation, but whether or not we'll get an impartial one is, I think, is very doubtful. I think it's clear that these knuckleheads who went into the Capitol didn't really have a plan. So I'm not sure how you could call that an insurrection or a coup. I think they're stupid. I wouldn't have gone into the Capitol. It's a crime, I believe, especially if you broke something to get into it. You're talking federal property. You can't do that kind of thing. So when they broke in, it was bad. It was bad to pick up that podium. I mean, it was hilarious, but it was bad. It was like playing a joke on your dean and breaking into his office and like trashing the place and taking a bunch of selfies and posting them on Facebook and then leaving expecting no one to be like, nobody to expel you from college. The deaths that happened were really bad. The woman that got shot, the same people who hated the police as little as a week ago now love the police and think they're totally justified in shooting an unarmed person. Now, I've heard some people talk about that shooting as, he was a cop and he was defending defending the Capitol and blah, blah, blah. I mean, from the video, in my sense of it is, it's certainly different from a police shooting where a guy attacked an officer with a weapon. But that being said, I think, he at least had the barrier there, and perhaps he could have given a warning. I don't know what the procedure was. I think he just sort of popped out and shot somebody. It seemed a bit extreme. And it seemed weird if you felt they were storming the gates to just shoot once. Seemed dumb. Seems to me you'd go blam, blam, blam and shoot like 3 people, not just one of them. But I think the whole thing is a big mess, and stupid. But I don't think Trump's really to blame for it. He told the protesters to be peaceful. He didn't tell them to go into the Capitol, certainly. I'm not sure what he expected, but I don't think he expected anybody to do anything as dumb as that. I think Trump, if he told people to go to the Capitol, he should have been at the Capitol to meet them in a prepared spot outside the Capitol, right? Should have had like a stage and another podium, and then like, here we are. We're gonna shout, yeah, 4 more years or whatever. But apparently he didn't have that, so not exactly sure what his strategy was, other than to get everybody to surround the Capitol and kind of chant and pressure Pence into, voting his way or not voting his way, depending on how you look at it. The moment they broke in, I mean, it was a disaster. And they didn't even get to finish their request for a 10-day audit, which they may or may not have gotten. Looking at the reaction of Nancy Pelosi, I don't know if they even would have gotten it. I'm not sure if they had the votes for it. I'm not sure how that works. But, I guess they would have had the votes in the Senate, but not the votes in the House. So Would the 10-day audit even happen? Now it kind of doesn't matter. I think the Democrats, if you're going to blame the Republicans and Trump for the riots, I think you have to lay equal blame on the Democrats because of their reaction to the riots all summer long, where they encouraged people to riot, where they essentially egged on anybody who wanted to take to the streets for their cause. And now they're being totally hypocritical about it by saying, well, now that you took to the streets because you're on the other side of the aisle, well, you're going to get prosecuted. It's totally hypocritical. But you kind of saw that coming. If you didn't see that coming, then you just haven't been paying attention to what the Democratic Party has become. They are hypocrites. They are total hypocrites. They don't run things by logic and reason. They run them by emotion. And if they ran things by logic and reason in the law, they would have already stopped this a while back. They would have been forced to, because they would have been following the law. They would have been following at least some of the Constitution. They would have allowed SCOTUS to hear the events. They won't allow it. They are destroying any rule, any law and order type rules just to win. And it's terrible. It's awful. And they don't understand what they're doing, because it's a double-edged sword to rule by your feelings, because it's going to be a very short tenure before people are sick of Biden. The economic forecast does not look good. And yeah, you could try to blame it on Trump. Good luck selling that. Because even if that's true, that won't be the feeling. The feeling will be, wait a minute, Trump was good at this. You're not good at this. The narrative tells me Democrats are bad at this. And you're raising my taxes? Yeah, that's what's going to happen. See, I think this is where it all kind of turns, against the Democrats. But that's a little ways away. I think that's a few months away at least, maybe 3 to 6 months, a year, depending. Now, the Democrats could do things to mitigate that. The first thing they could do is Biden could offer up some amount of consolation or compromise. They're trying to make Trump bend the knee, which he would be unwise to do at this point, unless they offered him something really great. I don't think they will. If they offered Trump let's let bygones be bygones, and we're gonna cut you loose, and we're not gonna impeach you, and blah blah blah. No, they're already impeaching him a second time. They're gonna try to get rid of him again, and they're gonna go all the way down to the wire. Because one thing the Democrats like to do is they like to copy the Republicans. And because Trump fought all the way to the bitter end, they are now going to fight all the way to the bitter end. And it's, to some extent, I can't blame them just in that aspect, because Trump did put them through the ringer, and now they're trying to return the favor. It's just that they suck at it, and they're just angry and vicious, and they'll really take it out on a bunch of other people, like the rioters, who, probably deserve some jail time, but not too much. I mean, now there's talk of charging everybody who broke into the Capitol with murder. And that seems excessive. There were certainly people who attacked that cop who passed away, after he was injured. And they should be prosecuted, the ones that attacked him, but not every single rioter. There were people who got into the Capitol. They didn't appear to even know what was going on. And some of the cops just completely abandoned their post. And now we learn that I guess it's the Capitol Police or the City Police, They were denied backup 6 times, and that had to do with Black Lives Matter. They didn't want the same bad press they got at Black Lives Matter. How'd that work out? And part of it may have been because not all the protesters were white, believe it or not. There were black Trump supporters. In fact, the FBI put out a top 10 poster of the people they're looking for, and the first guy's black. So, this whole hyperbolic nonsense about, racism, white nationalism, blah, blah, blah. It's just a bunch of nonsense they're trying to use to get, attention for themselves or sympathy. Again, it's all about the feelings. So they want this feeling that, we've all been attacked and you're a good person because, see, you don't like these people. And that makes you good. And the people who support this, well, that makes them bad. That's the kind of sort of base, raw emotion they're playing with. Unfortunately, it's a very dangerous thing to do because a lot of their base don't even like the current leadership in the Democratic Party. And Trump is going to be leaving in a week and 2 days. Then what? These people are going to start turning on each other very, very quickly. They're going to turn on a dime because they do. They don't have any principles sort of steering them. It's not about morality for the left anymore. They don't have anything to anchor them. It's about how they are perceived, how they can virtue signal even more than they already have. So that's why I think they continue to pursue this narrative of white supremacy and anti-Semitism and racism. That's the driving force behind everything Donald Trump and his supporters do. And it's just hollow at this point. And that's a real problem because, again, it's also another double-edged sword. On the one hand, it's just not true. They're just lying about Trump supporters to get people riled up. Number two, it heightens racial tensions that were just about dying in this country, and now they're just being pushed through the roof. And number three, and this is the worst part, it's actually giving fuel to the few racist a-holes that were out there, because you've got the worst combination. You've got racial divide and you've got economic stagnation. And that's a formula that gets you more racist, because that's why these people join up. They join up with the white nationalists because they're broke, they're despairing, and they have no other thing to look at other than their own race. And they feel persecuted, so they join up. And that victim narrative is strengthened by this push by the left. And one more thing I thought of today for the QAnon guys and the guys who still believe Trump is going to come back, and all the things that have happened, especially in the last few weeks. I think I look at it as one giant, massive psyop, one mind F, to screw with the American people, to keep them divided so that the powers that be can keep ruling people, can keep stealing their money and their taxes, through corporations that take over businesses like we're seeing now. We're seeing complete crushing of small businesses by this beer virus and through these lockdowns, which are just going to get more onerous. Biden's calling for a lot of different things that make zero sense. They're not connected to the Capitol Hill riots, and they're barely connected to the beer virus, even as they have a vaccine that they say is 90% effective. They're not stopping. So what we're going to see, I think, is a huge overreach by the left, which will destroy them. So as much as the Republican Party is destroyed now, I think you're going to see a backlash on the Democrats sometime in the future, which, may sound good from where we're sitting now, but the backlash is going to be nasty. It's going to be nasty. I have always advocated for no political violence. I've been doing the anti-war comic for 350 weeks now, so 7 years, basically since the Webcomic Factory started, webcomicfactory.com, link in the description. I actually forgot to post yesterday. I was so caught up in things. Political violence doesn't work. You see how it's not working now, you knuckleheads? I told Antifa, and now I have to tell the Trump supporters, it doesn't work. Don't do it on the 20th when Biden's going to be sworn in. It won't work. It won't work. It won't accomplish anything. You'll just get a bunch of people killed, and they'll crack down even harder on you. You don't have an army. Even if you have guys with guns, you don't have an army. You don't have a command structure, and you don't have a president to install. That's not the way it works. What you have to do is take back the cultural institutions. And that's a lot longer haul. That's a huge haul. But you're going to have another shot at it in the next, probably by the end of Biden's administration, when people are just ready to tear their hair out from watching this guy fail. And I think he will be a failure. And I'm not saying that, he's not my president or whatever. I don't want him to fail. But yeah, he's a pathetic mess, doomed to failure. So get ready for the dark winter, everybody. I hope you saved your shekels and, learn to farm. Plant a garden. It's going to get rough out there.